Hiya, and welcome back to a Masquerade in the Woods. The game that teaches us that nicknames are necessary if you're going to be doing some shady shit. Which is, if you are at all involved in trying to fix anything in a post-apocalyptic world. I'm assuming that the world of A Masquerade in the Woods is post-apocalyptic. You're going to want to use code names because you're going to be doing some shady shit. Anyways, let's just hop right in. Shepard! I almost thought you were a no-show. You're Cody, you'd make your nickname Goku. Oh shit. I feel the sweat on the back of my neck begin to trickle down my back. And a new shot of adrenaline enters my bloodstream. He looks old. Older than the three of us, at least. More mature. But no less intimidating. His presence looms over the entire room. Mason jumps off the chair and tosses the final beer over towards the hyena. Saved one for ya! Shepard effortlessly catches the can, in sharp contrast to my sloppy attempt earlier, before his eyes fall on me. And his expression changes. He stops, his eyes fixated on me. His face as if he recognizes me, but can't quite place where. But only for a moment before he collects himself and his eyes instead turn to the mask decorated with purple, still sitting on the workshop desk. Mason takes a step back as the large hyena approaches, grabbing the mask by the leather straps and shoving it back in the drawer, slamming it shut. You alright, Shep? Hiya. Without response, Shepard makes a beeline towards Lucas, who in turn stands up, cowering under the hyena's piercing stare. Is he one of the routes? He stops just inches away from Lucas, and even though they stand at virtually the same stature, Shepard still gives off the vibe of looming over him. Insubordination will not be tolerated in this family. His voice is gruff and low, but with the rest of the room being so quiet, it's audible throughout the entire space. I was just... What you did was reckless, and not only did you put yourself in danger, you put the entire operation at risk. Lucas shrinks further into himself, avoiding eye contact. I look to Mason, but he's retired to fiddling with the screwdriver on the desk, pretending not to hear it. Maybe it's liquid courage or just that deep-rooted instinct to say something when someone's getting scolded unfairly. Whatever it is, I speak up. Hey! Why is the dog screaming? Why are you screaming? Can you not scream? That would be greatly appreciated, thanks. Shepard calmly turns his head. Now that his eyes are on me again, I'm starting to have doubts about saying anything. I shiver. He rescued me, okay? If you're going to yell at someone, yell at me. I'd intended for my voice to come out a bit more confident, confided than it did, but under his gaze, it's difficult to even face him. Shepard doesn't flinch in the slightest, but Lucas lifts his head to join him in looking at me. Out of the corner of my eye, I notice Mason doing the same. Oh, hiya. I expect him to yell. I expect him to scream at me for talking back, for standing up for Lucas.
Emotional damage!
But he doesn't. Everything goes quiet, as if he were waiting, as if he's waiting for me to elaborate. I swallow to wet my throat. That's what you're all here to do, isn't it? Rescue those in need. You two, out. I think it might better if I stay. Shepard's eyes finally leave mine to glare at Lucas, and I can hear him gulp almost comically loud. The hyena huffs. Out. Lucas hesitates before looking down at me with an apologetic expression. I try to mouth a, "Don't leave me," but judging from what just went down, I reckon this is not the ideal time to argue. He bites his lip and steps back, joining Mason on their way outside.
Oh no, he's hot!
Yeah, I'm with you there, Yuan Code. I'm with you there. Hey, why is he hot? Hiya, don't worry about it. I swear, Shepard, this character, we're not objectifying him. We're not objectifying him. Only his tits. We aren't objectifying him. I swear to God, we are not objectifying him. Only his tits. The door slams shut, and I feel a sour sensation setting in as the one person I somewhat trust in this world disappears. I mean, I'm objectifying his tits. Not the person itself, because the person himself is fucking terrifying. I would have already pissed myself at this point. Like, I would already be crying. Strange fucking times these are. Shepard takes a seat at the table, clutching his paws together. With just a look, I follow his lead and sit down opposite him, feeling my legs shake. What's he gonna do to me? First Giant's wild adventures. And now this. I'm not sure what he means by this, so I stay silent. And the room stays silent for a long time, maybe a minute. Still, I don't dare look up at him. Who are you? Cody, sir.
Theta, we're not objectifying anything, stares at Shepstitz.
See, I'm not doing anything. I am doing the same thing that I do with all visual novel characters. The first thing I look at is his heart. The first thing I look at in a love interest is his heart. The fact that his tits are in the way is completely coincidental. Does he want me to start talking? What does he want me to say? Does he want me to apologize? Right? Like, no. I am actually with Lugmug on this. I would actually start crying if he even looked at me. Granted, if anyone even looked at me the wrong way, I would start crying. If this man just even sends a singular glance in my direction, I'm already crying. Like, I am curled up. I am curled up in the fetal position on the ground in a random corner, crying out of fear. Just crying. I just wish Miles were here. He'd know what to do. He sighs and takes a deep breath and readjusts in his seat. How are you? What the fuck? I'm so... What? The question catches me so off guard I have to do a double take. His expression shows concern. How are you holding up? It's such a change in demeanor, I'm left speechless. I'm okay. You've been through a lot. I'd be surprised if you were okay. He leans forward on his forearms, his paws still clutched together. You can be honest with me. You're safe here. So, how are you? Scared? Fucking terrified? Because you look like you could... Keep in mind. In real life, I am not a light person. I am actually a heavy person. I'm actually heavy. In real life, he looks like he could just lift me up and chuck me over to fucking Germany or something with a single throw. Like, he wouldn't have to keep running and throwing me like it's a twisted game of golf. No, like a single throw and I would land in Germany and I would be like, ah! And do you need some new pants? I'm not okay. He nods, listening silently. I don't really know how to get home. I don't even know where home is. How are you? I'm fine. I barely fucking know where here is. Giant did mention memory loss, most likely from that nasty head trauma. How's your paw? It doesn't hurt all that much anymore, only when I apply pressure. Much like ink then. And your head? Wrist? I'm still taken aback by his concern. They feel fine, sir. He nods. Would you like something to drink? I look over at the empty six-pack on the table. I'm fine! Something a little less awful, I mean. I can't stand the stuff Ink brings in. Hang on, is he smiling? I'm sorry, but here's the thing. I have met someone in real life who gives off the exact same energy as Shep, because, like, okay, here's the thing. If Star or Sam are here right now, I don't know if they're here, but if they are here, then they know exactly who I'm talking about. This person, he gives off, him and Shep are giving off the same energy, which is, fuck around, find out. Is that what you intended, Pack, Mr. Pack, be packin', Shep's energy, fuck around, find out? Because, like, that's the energy that I'm getting from him. And, like, him and this other person, they give off the same energy. And when this guy is, like, this person from real life, when he smiles, you either get, oh, you did something great, or I'm about to be fucking crucified. I'm about to get fucking crucified. So it's either one or the other, and I don't know. Is he right now? I don't know. He's smiling right now. So is he either trying to be welcoming? Is he pissed off to no end? Is he going to crucify me? I thought you were going to scold me. He tilts his head, narrowing his eyes. Why would I do that? Because, well... I shudder, hesitating. Shepard closes his eyes and shakes his head, leaning back in his seat. Did Ink tell you that? I nod, feeling a little guilty to snitch on him so easily. River's warning didn't help either. Neither did the impression he just left when he walked in. Wait. Yeah. I'll admit the situation isn't ideal. We've lost our best lead thanks to your actions. I swallow. But we can recover from this. He sits back up, placing his forearms back down on the table. It's more important you're alive. And if you're referring to standing up for Giant... A smirk creeps up his lips. I see that as a show of character. He's never overstepped before. I had to make sure it doesn't happen again. Now then, would you be okay with telling me what happened? Any information you can give could be useful, and could possibly make up for the setback you put us in. I hesitantly nod and steady myself to begin my retelling of what I remember, from waking up in the forest to waking up in Lucas's bed. I tell him about George, about what he did to me and how scared I was, and what I did to him. He listens intently through it all, rubbing the scruff on his chin thoughtfully. Halfway through, I have to wipe my eyes a couple times to stop the emotions from spilling over. I mention the factory. Factory? I nod. Did he tell you what he was doing there? He said it was a surprise and that he'd take me there soon. Once he got me dressed up and nice looking. I gently grab my bandaged fingers. He sighs and shakes his head but doesn't respond, so I go on. Once I finish, Shepard stands up and walks around the table, holding his arms out to either side. I stand up too, accepting his offer and pressing my body to his. And we stay like that for a while, Shepard patting my back, me doing my best to steady my breathing against its chest. Oh, son of a bitch. Axel, you called it! I understand. Shepard! I swear, if you... I jump back from the big hyena, my breathing catching in my throat. Looking over at the entrance, the door stands open and River stands in its wake. Behind her, I see Mason and Lucas peeking their snouts around the frame. Ow. What? River narrows her eyes on him and sighs. Never mind. God damn. Why not move down here? It's 7 hours from here, Eric. I know. I just miss you. I miss you too. Please, Cody. I need you down here. We'll rent our own apartment. You can find a job and I'll do my university thing. How are we supposed to pay for it? Don't worry about it. What if I can't get a job? We'll figure something out. Toxic. But what if we don't? For fuck's sake, Cody. Just don't worry about it. How could I not if we're trying to plan our lives out together? Why do you always have to question me, huh? I'm not. I'm just... Do you not care about me? Of course I do, but I still have a year of school left up here. If you cared about me, you'd come down here. Red flags. You know what? I'm gonna do a thing. I'm gonna do a thing just for this. Just for this. We are going to have... I am adding something to the stream. It just... Red flags. All over. Just red flags. I'm not doing that, but you get the idea, right? You get the idea. Like, hang on, I'm just going to add something. I'm going to add, up here in the corner, going to change the color to red. Hang on. Total red flags seen 1. I am going to put this up here. Oh, you're talking about the pipe sound? I will add the pipe sound. Yeah, like the metal pipe sound. It would be so loud and it would genuinely scare the shit out of me. However, it would be amazing. It would be totally amazing, and I could see why. However, I'm not going to add it live because it is a whole process. I'm not going to add it live because the pipe sound is a whole fucking process, and I don't know about you, but I don't feel like going through the process live because that'd be a pain in the ass. If you cared about me, you'd come down here. Please don't do this. Hiya. Please don't do this to me, Eric. I won't have a long-distance relationship. Either you move down here tomorrow, or it's over. I'm just going to make that a 2. I'm going to go ahead and make that a 2. I gently press my fingertips against the cool metal of the can, taking small sips from it now and then. Turns out Mason came prepared and brought a second pack of beer. Luckily, they're not very strong. Shepard rolls out a large map in the table in the center, while Mason ruffles through a box placed on his workbench. River leans... Hang on, did I already read that? Yeah. River leans against the closed door, her expression still accusatory, aimed at Shepard. Lucas comes over and sits down next to me, setting down his unopened can of beer on the table. You okay? I whisper to the canine. Oh, yeah, I'm fine. He smiles. I didn't think you'd stand up for me like that, you know? I repay the smile. Neither did I. But after everything you've done for me so far, how could I not? Well, I mean... His eyes drift, and I follow them to the captain leering over the map in the center of the room. To be honest, I don't know what came over me. Shepard's a good guy. He just has trouble showing it sometimes. He showed it pretty well once we sat down and talked. Really? I nod. Ink, you're up tonight. I thought Lou was up tonight. Now looking up, Shepard answers. He was, but the schedule has changed. I didn't know a date was a valid excuse to pass on duties. Ow! River lifts her paw and slaps him over the head. What was that for? River doesn't answer, just glares at him. Come on! I can't help but chuckle. What's the plan moving forward? We'll keep up recon efforts. But with George out of the picture, we've lost our lead. What about the others? Shepard looks up from his map. Hell. The other missing people, you said there were others, didn't you? What about them? Well, they're still out there, right? Kid, they're most likely dead by now. Hang on, I want to give River a different voice. Oh, no, she's keeping the voice. Kid, they're most likely dead by now. So? Shepard stands up straight, folding his arms. I agree with Cody. They could have valuable information. If there's any possibility any of them are still alive, we have to rescue them. And if they're not, well, they at least deserve a proper burial. Shepard nods. Though with only 2 hunters, finding them could take months. Months. If any of them are still alive, they'd all be dead by then. And where exactly? Would you suggest we start looking? George's house would be a good start, although it's not exactly open to the public at the moment. We could try slipping in, have a better look around. I didn't really have the time to search the place. The big dog's eyes dart to me for a moment before turning to Shepard. River scoffs, crossing her arms. Do you realize the risk you'll be taking? What if someone sees you? An active crime scene is not the place you want to be at if the cops show up. We'll dress up, hide our identities. I look to Mason swiveling on his chair. With the masks. Others are out there in the same situation I was in, if not worse. Can't sit idly and wait while this goes on. Mason smirks back at me, standing up. I thought you said you couldn't join the team, Striped Tail. Join the... what? No, absolutely out of the question. Bueno. Join the... what? No, absolutely out of the question. He's not going out playing vigilante in his condition. Why not? I did. Not 2 days after you got out. I thought you said you couldn't care less about me. She narrows her eyes, taking a few steps towards me. I don't. That doesn't mean I don't care about this big idiot. Her digit points at Lucas, who in turn stands up. We're in no state to refuse help from those who are willing, Doc. If the raccoon wants to make up for his clumsy actions, let him. Clumsy? I was almost killed! Are you sure you want to go back there? After everything that happened? No, not really. I don't particularly want to relive that whole experience. I want to go home. I want my body back. But to just leave knowing others might be suffering what I did, no. I can't leave them. I couldn't live with myself if I did. Miles will understand. I want to help. I look around the room. When my eyes meet Shepard's, I see the sides of his mouth curl into a small smile. We're all already wanted. What do we have to lose? River lifts her paw to pinch the bridge of her nose. Are we seriously considering this? We have to, right? It's what heroes do, Lucas adds. River scoffs and tilts her head at him. Don't flatter yourself. You're a mutt in a mask. He's a hero to me. Her eyes turn on me, and so does everyone else. I swallow. I mean, he saved me. I look down at my bandaged paw, and so did you. She shakes her head. Shep, you can't seriously be considering this. The hyena scratches his chin, looking down at the map laid out in front of him. No. You can't all head down to the house. 2 is more than enough to look through that place. What? I'll look somewhere else then. No, you're needed at the house, Inc. He turns to meet the possum's eyes and they exchange a look. Hang on, let me, scoot in. As if they both know the implication, but leaving me in the dark. Alright, why don't we consider this Stripetail's introduction mission? Alright, why don't we consider this Stripetail's introduction mission? Me, Lucas, and Cody. Someone's got to keep an eye on him while we're out. 2 eyes. He nods. That could work, yeah. Retrieve whatever could be relevant. Especially the raccoon's claws if they still happen to be there. Tampering with evidence now, too? We're criminals, Nubby. Always have been, always will be. She shakes her head. Shepard turns to me, and again, I feel myself cower back a little, despite our conversation earlier. If you want to do this, I won't stop you. I just want you to be aware of the risk you'll be taking. Am I really aware? Is this really something I want to get involved in? No, I'm already involved. Might as well make the best of it. I am. You'll need a mask. Mason seems to jump up at that, as his grin grows wider as he spins around and opens the drawer on the workshop desk. He takes out that purple mask again, the one with the X's all over the eyes. But that's... no. What? Not like Ludwig's getting much use out of it now anyway. He's not wearing it. A low growl escapes the hyena's throat as he says it, and I take a step back. Human instinct, I guess. Mason rolls his eyes, sighing. Fine. Let him take Rivers then, it'll probably fit. We all look to the rabbit, who's returned to leaning against the door, 1 foot behind the other. She shrugs her shoulders at Shepard. I'm not planning on using it. If the trash panda wants to go get himself killed, be my guest. Just don't expect me to come help if he hurts himself again. The hyena nods at her, disregarding the nickname. He then nods at the possum, who walks back over to the workshop table. Wait. You'll need a code name to use while we're out. I look to the others, but Mason's the one to speak up, walking back over with yet another mask in his paws, this one decorated with pink paint, looking a lot less used than the others. We've got me, Ink. He lifts his thumb to his chest and points at Lucas. Giant. His digit slams, sings towards the rabbit, who rolls her eyes. Doc. We're finally stopping on Shepard. And Bloodhound. We came up with them ourselves. So, what's your codename, Stripetail? Never had to come up with a codename before. Closest comparison would be when I was younger and had to come up with a gamer tag for my Xbox. And Steven! Can that be our codename? Steven? Can we be Steven Court's universe? No, let's take this seriously. Let's take this serious. And yet, without having to think about it, I know exactly what it is. Son of a bitch. Tiny. I look up at Lucas, who smiles back down at me. Mason sets the mask down on the desk and picks his beer back up. So can we finally toast our new crew member or what? Lucas lifts his beer as well, and I follow lead. Shepard reluctantly cracks one open as well. Let the sun set, and tomorrow never come. And if the sun rises, may our names be forgotten, but our actions forever remembered. Too tiny! Too tiny! Too tiny. As we tap our 4 cans together above the table, a 5th one joins in. Too tiny. River smirks disapprovingly, shaking her head. Your funeral. So, we're tiny now. Chapter 2. A dance under the midnight moon. Hooray! Yay! We're gonna get fucking murdered. Seriously, we're probably going to get fucking murdered. Murder! Ah! Alrighty, I'm taking down the red flag counter. Oh, hi! Hang on. Hang on. I will be right back. Alright, I will be right back. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, hey. Nope. I am not questioning it. Oh shit, are we purple? Are we making purple? If you've been to a southern church camp, if you've been to a southern non-denominational church camp, you will get what I mean when I say making purple. Here I am again. In the backseat of Lucas's car. This time driving towards George's house instead of away from it. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. Son of a bitch! The forest road is dark. The sun fully set about an hour ago. The only source of light were the headlights, but now that we're getting closer, even those are switched off. Can't believe I'm actually doing this. I like pink. We geared up back at home base. And by gear up, I mean we grab our masks, packed some stuff into backpacks, and went on our way. Considering I'm borrowing River's mask, Shepard let me borrow her jacket as well. Once our kit was ready, Shepard walked me through the gist of how this works, and with the help of the others. Nicknames only. As little spoken words as possible once inside until we know we're alone. Caution when entering every room. No killing. That part was punctuated pretty heavily. I can't help but feel it was so clearly stated because of what I did to George. Well, I mean, he fucking deserved it, so... Either way, once it was done, and Lucas assured me River would, in fact, help me out if I got hurt, we headed out. The journey's been pretty quiet so far, with Lucas driving and Mason checking his gear. But the silence is broken when the possum speaks up. Hang on, let me just scoot in. So, what happened at the hospital anyway? The chief was there? Okay, then why didn't you just leave? Well, we had just arrived, and you know... He knows you, I know. How do you know the chief? I ask, leaning forward to make it easier to be heard over the rain. He, knows my dad. More like he fucked your dad. What? Come on, you didn't find it suspicious he was there more than your... You didn't find it suspicious he was there more than your mom? She was working. Still, Coleman is pretty much your second dad. At least that's the way Nubby tells it. If that's the case, this whole thing could be more complicated than I originally thought. What the fuck? Lucas sighs. They used to play poker a lot is all. I don't know if they still do. It doesn't matter now anyway. I have my own place. And a roommate. Speaking of that, I was going to ask about payment. You know, paying you back for letting me stay there while I figure this out. Right now? I thought since we were on the topic already. Mason snickers. Timing is key, Striped Tail. Oh, you don't have to pay me back or anything. He smiles at me through the rearview mirror. I really don't want to mooch. You're not. Why not get a job then? Lucas looks over at the possum before his eyes return to the dark road. Finding these missing people might take some time, judging from experience. We might be here for a while. Well, I would, but I know nothing about this place. I don't have any identification or anything, nothing to back up who I am. I barely know who I am myself. Mason seems to think for a second. Hey, Lou, you know a while back when they started hiring newly arrived dudes? You mean at the hospital? Yeah, exactly. The possum looks at me through the mirror. Why not come work with me, Striped Tail? Elder care? I suppose I'd have to apply and I'm not sure they'd hire me. Mason smirks. Believe me, we're so understaffed they'd hire ferals if they could. pretty sure the chief was talking about Blackmill having the best healthcare in the state when we met him. Mason makes a mock spitting noise off to the side. Bull! He pauses dramatically, tilting his head back. Shit! Well, I think River's pretty good at what she does. Mason shrugs and looks out the passenger side window. That's just 'cause she got to practice on us. You're lucky, Striped Tail. Once you came around with your missing claws, she'd already had plenty of practice. Lucas slumps down in the driver's seat, both paws on the wheel. Can I ask what happened? Same thing that happened to you, he sighs. Only my knight in shining fur took a bit longer to arrive. He looks down at his paw. Who was it? Who? The captor or the liberator? Both, I guess. Mason straightens himself back up, rolling his neck. Shep was the one who came rushing in, right when that asshole was getting started on my teeth. Captor's name is Nathan Little, or was. Dude seemingly disappeared off the face of the earth after that. He got away? Mason nods, eyes back on the dark forest rolling by outside. Bloodhound got a shot off, hit him in the leg. Little opened fire right back at him. Fucker limped his way out of there and just vanished. Haven't seen a lick of him since. Jeez. Didn't even buy me a drink before he put his greasy paws on me. He adjusts in his seat, dipping his paw down his pocket and pulling out a flat piece of metal. The sloshing sound it makes as he screws the top helps me put the pieces together. Mason, come on. The possum continues untroubled, despite the worrying tone of the much larger canine next to him. He flips the cap off, swinging his head back with the hip flask pressed to his lips. Surprisingly, however, he doesn't stop. He swallows once. Mason. Twice. Mason! I jump, the big dog's large fangs showing his voice rising in volume. Lucas slams on the brakes, flinging us forward in our seats before his big paw flies across the interior and scratches the flask, then snatches the flask from Mason. Please. He holds it back out to Mason. I know, but... The possum grabs it, but before Lucas lets go, he turns to meet his eyes. Not tonight! After a considerable pause, Mason takes the hip flask back, sliding it out his pocket and letting out a long sigh of his own. We start driving again, in silence this time. I want to ask what he means by that, but I'm not about to risk it after that outburst. Lucas is kind of scary when he's angry. I mentally punch myself in the gut for asking in the first place. Could have avoided all that if I just hadn't asked. Idiot! We're here. Lucas drives off the road and a few meters away into the shrubbery, turning the car off. Where? I can't see anything. Don't want to park too close to the house, just in case someone's actually there. Makes sense. I just hope I can find my way back if I need to. Mason opens his backpack and pulls out a small circular box and a brush, handing it to Lucas. He proceeds to open it, dabbing a little paintbrush in the black powder inside. Makeup? He adjusts the mirror and starts dabbing it around his eyes. Ooh! The powder's almost like paint, caking to his fur like mud. It almost immediately starts running down the sides of his muzzle. Yeah, to help obscure the eyes a bit. Luckily, you and I don't need any. I raise an eyebrow at him. We don't? Mason takes a deep breath, plasters that familiar grin back on his muzzle, and turns in his seat. He raises a digitless claw up to his eye, moving in a circular fashion around it. Natural eyeshadow, dummy. Oh, right. I'm a raccoon. I lift my own paw up to my face, running my fingers through the fur. Lucas hands the makeup back to the possum, who stuffs it back in his bag. Alright, are we ready? Wait, one more thing. Both look at him as he reaches back in his bag, pulling out a pistol. You ever been shooting before, Striped Tail? I shake my head. I don't think I've ever seen a gun in real life before. Alright, well, it's pretty simple. You've got your trigger and your safety. He points them out as he mentions them. It's already loaded, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. At least not for now. Are you sure this is a good idea? Lucas looks back at me. I mean, I just don't want you to accidentally hurt yourself or something. He'll be fine, Lou. Right? Will I? I mean, if something happens, I think I'd rather go in armed than unarmed, even if I trust the big dog to keep me safe. Yeah, I'll be fine. I nod at Lucas, who responds with a signature look of worry. Mason hands it over, and my first reaction is how much heavier it is than it looks. Just don't go pointing it at either of us, alright? Yeah, got it. He pulls out a second pistol, tucking it in his waistband. Safety's on, by the way, just so you know. Don't just shooting your dick off. Right. I follow the possum's lead, tucking the pistol between my belt and pants. As I'm adjusting its placement, Lucas digs his paw down his pocket, pulling out what is definitely a taser, judging from the black plastic and metal prongs at the top. He turns in his seat, holding it out to me. Here. Non-lethal option. Mason looks at him questioningly. Just in case! I nod, taking out my paw and feeling out the button on the side. The prongs on the top look as sharp as fangs, and I make a mental note to do my best not to rip a hole in my pants with it. I thought of possibly the worst thing. I thought of possibly the worst possible thing to think of whenever he got the taser. And if you watch TikTok, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you know that little song that just goes, you know, let me just pull the song up. I'll just pull the song up. Like the song itself. Alrighty, found it. I found it. Here we go.
Taste you and your boss that you like that. Ain't no kids after that. You like that.
That's what I thought of. It's so impressive how much smaller it looks in his paw compared to mine. He's a giant, that's for sure. I'll let Shep know you need some weapons training at some point. The sooner the better, probably. Never thought I'd learn to fire a gun. That's for criminals. And the military. And I don't think I'm cut out for the military. Alright, mask up. I reach over to the backseat to pick up the black gloves, slipping them over my fingers and threading the claws through the holes at the tips. All except for two, of course. Proves a bit more difficult than I thought. The bandage sticks to the fabric of the glove like Velcro. Once on, I reach down into the footwell and pull out the pink mask. With some adjusting to the leather straps on the back, I make it fit surprisingly well. Even though it's Rivers and designed to fit her, it's not such a bad fit on my raccoon features. Though it's definitely a lot harder to see out of than I thought. The feelings of my whiskers pressed back against my face is also a new feeling. Strange, but new. Once these are on, we're hunting. Understood? He says as he slides his cap off, his ears folding to get through the holes at the top. So let's keep this professional, alright? Whatever happens in there, we stick to nicknames. Got it? Got it. Lucas nods affirmatively. At least till we know it's empty. The rain is like ice as it pours down on my exposed fur. With the sun gone, the temperature has dropped significantly and I shiver. River's raincoat is a bit too slim for me, but it's a hell of a lot better than a hoodie. That gets soaked in seconds. Giant stops almost immediately as we exit the car, lifting his nose in the air. What's that smell? Hang on, I'm going to give them different voices with the masks. What's that smell? Ink walks around the hood and mimics the gesture. Smells like camping. Smells like camping. Yeah. It's ash. Giant immediately turns to look at me. I could smell it when I woke up in the woods. You mean the forest was on fire? Not that I remember. It might have been at some point. Whole place just smelled like ash, and the trees were all black. Ink looks at Giant. We could have caught something on the police scanner about a forest fire, wouldn't we? Would have at least read it in the newspaper. Who the fuck reads newspapers? Well, I do. Do you not have fucking internet? I can't recall any fire. Am I misremembering? Okay, do those voices work? Honest feedback, do those voices work? Tiny. What? I open my eyes back up and see Giant and Ink a few steps ahead of me. I stare at them, blinking as the memory slowly fades. Come on, let's move out. Right, okay. Giant takes the lead, walking ahead with his rifle in paw, his head turning as he scans the surroundings. His empty duffel bag gently swings against his back from its strap. I follow close behind, the pistol in my right paw aimed at the ground, flashlight in my left. Ink sticks behind me, one paw on the gun in his belt, and then I see it, that awful rundown house. Took you long enough. Didn't think I hit you that bad. No lights are on. The power outage that hit the night I was here hasn't been fixed. What I noticed this time around, however, are the bars on the windows, even covering the basement one. I guess I wouldn't have been able to get out that way after all, even if I managed to get the collar off. The police tape I saw on the news is still there, reflecting the low moonlight seeping through the dark clouds. Ink, you're up, he says in a low voice as we approach the yellow-striped door. Ink walks up and begins cutting the police tape with a knife, along with a large sticker clamped over the door and part of the frame. I thought we were sneaking in. We're here to leave a message, Tiny. Message? I thought we were gathering evidence. We're doing both. Bloodhound's orders. He proceeds to cut the tape right down the middle, doing the same to the note while Giant and I keep watch. Got it. They switched places, Giant readying his rifle. He positions himself in front of the door, one paw on the handle while nodding to the possum. Ink nods back, lining up close behind the big dog, placing a paw on his shoulder, the other on his pistol. Reminds me of SWAT clips I've seen on the internet. Only this is a carpenter and a nurse, not a trained police force. Though I can't say I'm versed enough in breaching techniques to judge their performance. I instead take on a role I'm more familiar with, standing off to the side, keeping watch behind. The handle turns, but it doesn't open. He tries again, pushing his shoulder against the wood this time. Still, it doesn't budge. He crouches down and puts the rifle to the side, pulling out what looks like 2 small needles from his pocket. Carefully, he slides them into the lock. It's locked? Ink nods, moving up behind me. Was it locked when you got here the first time? Giant doesn't answer, concentrating on getting the door open. We wait for maybe a minute, the rain hammering down on our plastic masks and bouncing off. At this rate, we'll be soaked in no time, even with the jackets. Sort of wish I could take the mask off just to feel the water run down my face. We're here to do a job, not to enjoy the weather. Haven't got all night, Giant. Giant sighs. They've changed the lock. They what now? He stands back up, rolling his shoulders. Someone's changed the lock since I was here last. Who? Someone who doesn't want anyone inside, even with the police tape being up. Next step. Sending a louder message. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull up the sensor. Why, is there a wiener? Is there a weenie doodle? Ink nods, taking a step back. Giant does so too, taking a deep breath. Then he rushes forward, slamming his full weight against the door, and it flies open. The lock dislodges with a loud snap as a wooden door frame gives out. Wiener jump scare incoming! Ah! As soon as it releases, they both storm inside with their weapons raised, Ink just behind Giant. I follow. Giant takes a sharp right while Ink turns left. I quickly step inside behind them, ending up between the two. Clear. 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 Our flashlights scan the room. The place is a mess. There's stuff everywhere, everything from empty pizza boxes to dirty plates. Tools, stacks of newspaper, empty bottles. What a dump. On top of that, the smell is rancid, not like the scent in the basement, more like a trash container. The front door seems to lead straight into the living room. A par 4 short foyer decorated with a large closet. Under the piles of garbage, I can see an armchair and a coffee table opposite an older TV. The thick kind with a built-in VHS player. Ew, he uses CRT. If someone's around, they know we're here. Keep your eyes open. Roger. I nod and follow the two hunters further into the house. We clear each room methodically as best we can, making sure we're alone. Kitchen, and then a bathroom. We have to move pretty slow since you can barely see the floor under the amount of garbage. It's difficult enough to see through the mask in the dark as it is. By the time we come across a bedroom, or at least I think that's what it's supposed to be, I start getting the hang of this clearing thing. At least the basics of it. A stained mattress is tucked into the corner of a room, with a small pathway through the debris leading to it. The scent is sour, and the entire place smells like it hasn't had fresh air in years. A briny, almost salty stench. Ew. I carefully step through. This shit is gonna take weeks to sort through. Let's clear the house, then focus on the basement. Oh, there it is! Hang on. As I turn the corner on a large stack of boxes, something catches my attention out of the corner of my eye. I turn, my breath catches in my throat, and I almost jump out of my skin as my eyes land on the silhouette. As soon as the gasp escapes me, Giant rushes in behind me, rifle raised at the figure. Duck. What? I step back in a panic, losing my balance and falling down on the stained mattress. A second passes before Giant slowly lowers the barrel of his rifle, reaching out with a paw at the shadowed person. I fumble for my flashlight, aiming it up at their faces. You know what? I'm just going to go with their actual voices. It's just a mannequin. I can't keep doing, like, the, different voices. Giant lets out a sigh of relief looking down at me. What happened? It's just a mannequin. Sorry, thought it was a person. Which begs the question why it's here in the first place. Ink suppresses a snicker as he waits in the doorway, his back turned to us as he looks down the hall. Giant stretches his paw out to me. It's alright. I grab it and he pulls me back up on my feet. Next time one of us calls out duck, make sure to get down. I nod and Giant makes his way back towards the open door. He seems a lot more confident with the mask on. At least he's acting like it. Fake it till you make it? I turn back to the mannequin, taking a closer look and letting the flashlight illuminate its features. It seems feminine in shape. Makeup is smeared on its face in a half-assed attempt, with eyes drawn on with a Sharpie. Some sort of leather harness is strapped over its chest, the leather looking a lot less worn than anything else in the room. Then I noticed the cock. Or a sex toy, rather. A strap-on with a big red dildo attached to it. It's shaped like a... It's shaped like a canine penis. My flashlight also illuminates the white stains all over it, and now it's not so difficult imagining why it's here. Jesus. I was expecting to see some strange stuff, but this is not what I had in mind. Giant looks back over his shoulder. Nothing. We clear or what? Giant looks at me expectantly. Yeah, clear. I follow him back out into the building. That was fucked up. Mr. Mr. Developer. That was fucked up. I love it. I follow him back out into the hallway. I fucking love it. Giant walks ahead, leading us down the hall into the storage room. Nothing seems to stick out, just shelves and containers. I shouldn't be, and I think I'm safe. Giant stops in the doorway and points to a bundle of cardboard boxes stacked on the floor. Wait, yeah, Giant. There. Ink bends his neck around the big dog's broad frame. What's there? The hatch. He walks over and begins pushing the boxes to the side, revealing a rusting metal slab. Ink follows him inside, and I do the same. How'd you even find it in the first place? It wasn't covered when I got here last time. And it wasn't covered when I left. He grabs the handle and pulls, but a padlock stops it from lifting more than a few centimeters. Giant gets back down on his knees and pulls the needles back out, delicately moving his massive digits to pick the lock. Is this typical for a crime scene? Nothing in blackmail surprises me anymore. he says, his tone defeatist. The lock opens with a lot more success this time, and the hinges squeak as Giant lifts the hatch. That musty smell floods my nose again, and I instinctively step back. Now, was that so difficult, Andy from Red Creek? You good, Tiny? I shake my head and steady myself. Yeah, I'm fine. Giant looks at me, and even though I can't see his face, I can tell he's doubting me. Let's move. We're gonna leave off here tonight. I know I said it before, but I seriously cannot get over the main menu music. I seriously cannot get over the main menu music. I love it. It is a waltz. I love it. Anyways, stay safe, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow.